Hello there, and welcome to the Willpower Weightlifting Program template. This instructional video is to demonstrate how the template's used and how all of the data is put in. It's very important that this data is put in a particular way to make life easy as you put in all the data in throughout the weeks, but also to make sure that the correct programs get sent out and there is no errors in the programs when the athletes receive them. So here we have the 4-week program template. It's important that whenever we start a new program, we copy and save it to one side so that the program template itself doesn't get messed with. So to start off, I go File, I go Make a Copy, and from here then I'll go to the athlete in particular. So today, for this one, I am using Will Bevan as a template. So we go here to Weightlifters 2019, and here we have all of them, all of our athletes so far, and this will get added to each time. So here we have Will Bevan. So as you can see, he's already had quite a lot of programs done. So I will put Will Bevan, and then I'll put the week numbers. So at the top of each program, you'll see how many the week numbers that there are. So this is, I will go Will Bevan 34, 35, 36, 37, and those numbers will be on the top of each ledger. It's very rare that they're not. So then obviously a new copy is made, and then from that, now that we have this here, I can close that and the template can be left untouched. So as it's loading, just wait up a little bit now, and we'll get into it. So to start with, I like to change the view on this because you want to be able to see all 4 weeks and all 6 sessions. So when I click this to 50%, here we are. Now, the key thing to remember here is that anything that's in grey, any box that's a grey box, please do not put anything in it. These have formulas in it which will automatically update based on the name and the phase name and week numbers. So don't do that. So to start off, I'll go here and I will type in Will Bevan, and all the athletes are in the appendix, which is regularly updated. So Will Bevan, we'll put him in now, and automatically it'll say what phase of programming he's on and his payment and this important information that we need. This here, the phase and the payment, is important as it will then go here at the top of his program, which he'll receive, so he knows how much he has to pay us. And then each program normally has a phase name which describes the outcome and the theme of the program. Will's program here is called the preparatory. Yes, the preparatory stage. So I would look at the top of the program and I would go preparatory, boom, and I would put the numbers 34 to 37. And this here is for me to know whether or not he needs an analysis. The answer here is no. So at the top of the program here, this here, this is where all the important information is put. Anything that's put in here will end up here for the athlete for the athlete's PDF program. So I will put at the start 34, 35, 36, and 37. Week 1 being week 34 of this year, and week 4 being week 37 of this year. And as you then go to the program, the numbers will correspond and go where they should. Fantastic. Right, moving on. So, number 1, we start with session 1, exercise 1. So from the top left of the ledger, we'll start from there, move on to then the exercise to the right. So it'll be session 1, exercise 1. And the exercise here is snatch, pause, in, receive. So I'll put, and I like to do this in block capital letters because it makes it easier for our athletes to read it on their phones. Snatch, pause, in, receive. And what I like to do sometimes is just check Yes, that's good. Sometimes if it goes beyond this box, I would do this. I may do snatch, pause, in, receive, just to make things easier. But it does not matter either way, which way you do it. Well, actually it does, but you'll be able to tell. So notes. Next to the exercise, there may be a note. For this particular exercise, there is not, but further along in this video, I can already see that there will be some. And then the category number, this number will be put under or to the right of the program that's written in the ledger. So for this particular exercise, snatch, pause, and receive is a number 2, which is written down here. Then we go on to the program itself. It's important that we work this way. So we work from left to right, going along the weeks. And then once we are finished at the end, at week 4, we then move on to then the next exercise. And then we'll put it, and then you carry on here. Don't do this. Don't do all the exercises and then how they work. Don't do power clean and, triple, which is next, and then go on to do that here. That will mess things up. Numbers will start to clash and it will all be in the wrong order. So don't do that. What you definitely have to do is start at week 1 and move along like this. So, for example, we have 4 sets, 2 reps, 4 over 2. So Justin will write it like this. He'll write that. That is how it will look in the ledger. And then that here is how we write it in Excel. The left number will be the set and the right number will be the rep. This program, Justin has written in weight form. He'll either write it in weight or percentage and he'll have the unit next to it. So for this exercise, we see it's 80 kilos and it says kilograms, 80 kg. So under kg, we will then put 80. Great. Moving on. Next, then, he has 3 sets of 2 at 80 and 2 sets of 2 at 85. How he will write it in the program, it may look something like this. He'll have 4 over 2 written down in pencil, and then he'll have 3 at 80, which is this one here. And then he'll have written down 2 over 85, which will be this one here. I hope that's clear. Moving on then, we are on week 36. We have 5 over 2. So that's 2 at 80, and then 3, 2 at 85. And then moving on to the final week, it'll just be 5 over 2 at 85. Now, the reason why we do it this way is important, because if we were to do it, if we were to then do the exercise first and then the numbers, we would have a clash. We would have put here power cleans, and then as you can see further along, it would read this as power cleans, but it's not. That's for the snatch and receive. So it's important to do this first and then do the exercise. So then from there we go to power clean 3. That means it's a triple. So the 3 there represents the reps. Justin sometimes will put the reps next to the exercise. This can sometimes be a little bit confusing, but it will be there for you to understand. Next to that then will be a 4. So then it's 4, 3 at 100. And then there's 3, 1, 3, 3. Next, 100, 105. After that then, on week 36, there's 2, 3 at 100, and 3, 3 at 105. And then for the final week, it will be 5, 3 at 105. Next then we have front squat. Front squat. Next to that is the number 11, which represents the front squat. And then we have 3 sets of 6 reps at 70 kilograms. Then we have 2 sets of 6 at 70 and 2 sets of 6 at 75. Incorrect. Now this is a mistake. It's good that I made a mistake, so you won't. On this program in front of me now, Justin has changed from kilograms to percentages. So next to it, it says 70%, the unit percent, not kilos. So I should have picked up on that. So it would go here in the percentage column, 70%. Then we have, like before, 2, 6, 70%. No, incorrect. 70% here. My fingers. And then we have 2, 6, 75% there. Moving on, then we have 5, 6, 75, and only 2 sets towards the end. Yes, 2 sets of 6 at 80. It's important to note that if there's gaps in between, to follow the top number. So here will be a 2, and here will be a 4. So this 4 will read all of this and count it in the analysis as a 4. The 2 will read all of that. The 11 is reading all of this, and the 11 is reading all of that. Brilliant. Push press. That will be a 12 written next to that there, and then we have 3, 3, and Justin's has got a dash here. So if there's a dash, which looks like this or that, or sometimes you might write it like that, that means there's no weight prescribed. It's down to the athlete to choose, or whether there's been a discussion beforehand. So no need to write anything there. So we just move along to 3, 3, then for the next week, 3, 3 for the week after, and 3, 3 for the week after that. Fantastic. Session number 2. Power snatch. For a double, for 2 reps, so there's a 2 in brackets there. There's a 2 next to that to represent that exercise, and then there's 4 sets of 2 at 60%, and then there's 3 sets of 2 at 60%, and 2 sets of 2 at 65%. Moving on, 2 sets of 2 at 60%, 2 sets of 2 at 65%. And then finally, only 4 sets of 2 at 65% for the final week. Moving on, put a 2 here. Next exercise, exercise number 2, is clean and jerk. Now what we have here is a note. So this is for the athlete to remember that 1 plus 1 equals 2 reps. And it's for a double. So here, 1 plus 1, the clean, plus the jerk, is 2 reps. For a double, that means that will be 4 reps. So in here, we will put 4. And this represents, this number is a 5. Next to the clean and jerk, Justin has written 5, which represents that category number. So we have 6 sets of 4 at 70%, 4 sets of 4 at 70%. To make it easier, that will help the athlete. Yeah, go on then. Right, where was I? Trail of thought, yes. 3 sets of 4 at 70%. And 3 sets of 4 again at 75%. Brilliant. Moving on, we have 2 sets of 4 at 70%. and 2 sets of 4 at 75%. Incorrect, 75%. Snatch, grip, RDL. It's 12. And again, Justin has put a dash or a dot like that or something like that. That in the ledger. So that means no weight is prescribed. So we just have to put 4, 8, 4, 8, 4, 8 again. And you guessed it, 4 sets of 8 on the final week. Moving on to session number 3, snatch balance. That is represented by a 2. So we have 6-1 at 90%. 4 sets of 1 at 90%. And 2 sets of 1 at 90% again. Then we have 3 sets of 1. I've made a mistake. 95%. It's good. I'm making mistakes here. So it means you have to be extra vigilant when reading. Probably it's because I'm speaking out loud at the same time, but that's no excuse. So, week 3, 36. 3 sets of 1 90. And again, 3 sets of 1 at 95%. So 2. Here we have 2 sets of 1 at 90%. Another 2 sets of 1 at 95%. That's a 2. Then we have power, clean, plus jerk for a triple. Oof, that's not nice. So, in the notes here we have 1 plus 1 equals 2. Times that by 3 equals 6 reps in total. Now let's just double check. Sometimes when we have a lot of writing, I like to just double check that that actually fits in the box. And if I zoom in here, yeah, that's pretty good. They can read that, so that's not a problem whatsoever. Right then, this here has a 6 next to it, so it's going to be number 6. And then we have 3 sets of 6 at 60%. 3 sets of 6 at 65%. 3 sets of 6 at 65%. 65%. And 1 set of 6 at 70%. Moving on. 2 sets of 6 at 65%. And again, 2 sets of 6 at 70%. Brilliant. And then when we go back, we'll just make sure we fill in the 6 there, because that represents the same exercise. And then he finally has front squat at the end. Front squat twice a week. Nice. There's an 11 written next to the front squat. So then there's 2 sets of 6 at 70%. 70%, not 70 kilos. This is very important because if I was to put 70 kilos here, knowing Will, he'd probably go and do 70 kilos on the front squat, which is incorrect. It's not 70 kilos, it's 70%, which is significantly more weight. Then moving on to the next week, it's 2 sets of 6 at 70% and 1 set of 6 at 75%. Fantastic. Now we have 2 sets of 6 at 70% and 2 sets of 6 at 75%. And we're nearly there. 2 sets of 6 for the final week at 75%. As you could probably tell by now, watching, most of the programming has a pattern. This particular program has a pattern in terms of the progressions throughout the week. So most programs work in that instance where there is a linear progression of overloading the volume and the intensity. So that is something to be able to pick up if you're ever confused about something that might not be understood in the ledger. However, if there is anything ever in the ledger that you do not understand, I always find it's best to just text Justin and to find out what he means, or whichever coach is writing it. You don't want to guess it and get it wrong, and then for the athlete to do the wrong thing and for it to be your fault. That's just not something you want to do. Finally, for session 4, and we're nearly there, we have snatch for a double. And this is good. This is brilliant. This is a bit of a complex one. I'm glad I picked this program. So here we have 1 to represent it. And on the week 1, Will has maximum. The word max is written. So anytime that max is written, put it in the percentage column. And then there's max again. And he has max. He maxes out his snatch. He goes for maximum effort every week on session 4. Then, next to it, underneath, he has 3 sets of 2, which is minus 15%. So he'll understand what that means. That means whatever his maximum is, go down by 15% and bang out 3 sets of 2. The week after, he has 4 sets of 2. Again, he's decreasing it by 15%, so it's minus 15. The week after that, then, he has 2 sets of 2, and it's minus 10%. And the week after that, he has 3 sets of 2, minus 10%. I'm really glad I picked this program because this is something that sometimes crops up. Then for the cleans, he has cleans for a triple, so that's 3 reps. Next to this is a 3, sorry, not a 4. So he has 3 sets of 3 at 65%, 3 sets of 3 at 70%, 4 sets of 3 at 75%, and 3 sets of 3 for the final week at 75%, and 1 set of 3 at 80%. Fantastic. Make sure every time we go back, we put the 3 in to make sure it all adds up nicely. Then we have back squat. Fantastic. Next to the back squat is a 10, so I write down 10. Then we have 4 sets of 6 at 70%, 2 sets of 6 at 70%, and 2 sets of 6 at 75%. Incorrect. 75%. Then we have, in week 3, 5 sets of 6 at 75%. And for the final week, we have 2 sets of 6 at 80%. And here we are at the end. One more exercise to go. So, number 4, and this is a good one, push press. That has a 12 next to it. And again, Justin has put a dash or one of those or something like that, which again represents there is no weight, only volume. So 3 sets of 3, no weight prescribed. So we move on to the next week. 3 sets of 3, no weight prescribed. 4 sets of 3, and finally 4 sets of 3. And that is it. Once that is done, nothing more has to be done. The data has been inputted. Then whoever is sending the program to the athlete can then, for example, now go to Google Sheets once it loads. Will Bevan's there. Brilliant, there he is. And here is everything that's been saved. Thank God. That's the great thing about Google Sheets. And what they will do then, they will come in, check everything is in working order, check that there's no things that don't add up, like, an extra 0, because 800 kilograms would be terrible. They will check everything's in order, go to the program once they've done their checks, and then send it off to the athlete by creating a download, which I will do now. And I'll do this by going to File, Download, PDF. Here is the PDF, which already has everything in working order. If there are any notes for the program, that will be written on at the end by the organizer. Export. They will then have the PDF downloaded to their computer, laptop, MacBook, whatever they're using, and then they'll be able to send off the email to the athlete. And that is it. That is how this system works. It works in a sense of making sure that things are done from left to right, so that then if I was to, for example, put in snatch, pause, at receive, then move on and do power clean, you can already see how that would end. I would go along and this here would clash. It wouldn't work. So instead of someone then going, insert new row, don't do that. We definitely do not want to do that. This format is used for other things, so it has to stay the same. But yes, this is how it works. I hope this video was helpful, and any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. I'll answer anything that helps with this endeavor. Thank you very much. This has been the Willpower Weightlifting Program 4-week block instructional video.